Hi and welcome back to Bedecked. I am the author stylist Rebecca and Brian, but you can call me Beck. I don't know if you get annoyed that I change locations on almost every video, but today I am in the room where my YouTube channel journey began when I read from my book, my middle grade fantasy book, Flowerantha. I sat at a piano for most of it, which is right over there. I really like this room. It has really nice lighting during the day. It's night right now as I'm recording this, but I started my YouTube channel almost 2 years ago now when the pandemic started. And I think I've come a long way since then. If you go back and watch the videos, they're a little stilted. But anyway, I've definitely upgraded my sound since then. This is a very echoey room. There's like no upholstery, so I probably am still pretty echoey, but I have my microphone. Today I am dressed like this because this episode is about cosplay. The only time I've worn this outfit I think is to the Ren Fair. We have a really great Renaissance fair here in Wisconsin, so I've worn this there maybe just once. Anyway, I'm sure I'd wear it again because where else am I going to wear it? Yeah, so I wanted to wear this for the introduction, and then I have an interview with urban fantasy author Dee Lieber. Dee was actually my first author stylist client. She was referred to me by my friend MK Wiseman, and I helped Dee pick out an outfit for a book event she was going to. She was presenting it. She had a table set up at TeslaCon, and she wore the outfit I helped her pick out for one of the days there. It was really great working with Dee. Dee already has a really fun, great style. You'll see she has this great curly hair. She looks awesome in hats. She's got this bright, friendly smile. So she was really easy to work with. She's open to anything. She's very adventurous. Her style is very adventurous already, which you'll see from some of the pictures I show from the cosplay she's done in the past. She also lost a lot of weight recently, so she wanted to work on kind of honing her closet. And I mentioned on the last 2 episodes that some of my clients have been into thrifting, and Dee is one of those clients. So I've been learning a lot about the thrift shopping process through working with her and others. So I think this will be a really fun interview. I'm excited to dig into the world of cosplay and find out like where and when we can wear crazy get-ups like that. And I ask her about the do's and don'ts. A lot of great stuff. So I love dressing up, but honestly I don't know much about cosplay at all. I've been to a couple conventions, comic book conventions, but I was mostly there for the celebrity guests. So I'm excited to get into it, see what she recommends. So we have Dee Lieber here with us. Can you tell us a little bit about what you write, what you're working on now, what we can expect to see from you?
Yeah. So I'm Dee Lieber, as she said, and I write mostly urban fantasy and paranormal romance, but then I hop around a lot. Sci-fi a little bit, and then like I have a detective noir. I'm usually in the fantasy adjacent area though.
Cool.
And right now I'm working on book 2 of my Intended Fate series. It's a vampire werewolf face series, and I'm finally coming back to it after like 3 years.
So how many books have you published?
9.
Okay.
And so when this book comes out, it'll be my 10th. So
okay. Cool. And how many different series is that then?
Normally, honestly, I write standalone.
Okay.
And after writing this series, I swear I will never write a series again. So don't worry. So I have In Search of a Witch's Soul, which is in the Council of Covens, and that's just like one novel and then like a prequel novella. So I guess technically that's a series kind of. And then I have Mint and Magic, which is my steampunk fairy tale series. and that has 2 books in it. I keep saying I'm not going to write more, but then I get ideas.
Yeah. They never
So
stop.
that one's The Exiled Otherkin and The Assassin's Legacy just came out, but they're not really a series. They're kind of just in the same world. Like, you can read them out of order. This is my first like proper series where I have a trilogy where you have to read the first one before it's not going to make sense if you don't read them in order.
I've seen a lot of pictures of you at author events, and you do a lot of cosplay at these events. How did you get into the whole cosplay scene?
So I started with cosplay from the Renaissance Fair, which I think is a place where a lot of people start. It's just a really immersive place, and you want to feel like a part of it. And so I kind of started there. I think the first time I went to the Bristol Renaissance Fair when I was growing up, but I didn't really dress up other than when you're a kid and you're like, Mom, get your flower wreath for your hair or something, like fully dressed up. I didn't do that until college when I went to the Ohio Renaissance Fair. But then I would go with my college friends and stuff. And then I think my first proper like cosplay was I went to Wizard World Chicago.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, as a Star Trek communications. I went as a red shirt. I was like, here we go. Hope I make it through.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, dressed up as a yellow shirt. Well, I guess you want to get into Star Trek fandom, it's technically green, but like, let's not go there. Yeah. So yeah, and then it was just kind of downhill from there. Like, I loved it.
Okay, so you've kind of mentioned some of the events you've cosplayed at the past, and you've also worked this into your writing events. So why not? We'll go through some of these costumes and stuff, pictures you sent me. All right, let's start at the beginning. So tell us what this one's from.
This one is from a TeslaCon. And TeslaCon is a steampunk convention. This one I'm trying to, TeslaCon is immersive in the way that like a Renaissance Fair is immersive. Like, all of the vendors dress up, all the attendees dress up, and in some ways it's way more immersive. There's like a storyline and everything. And I don't remember what the theme for this year was, but I had gotten that shawl when I went to Russia. I also travel a lot for research for my books.
Oh, cool. So
in order to write The Assassin's Legacy, I went to Russia and got that shawl, and this was like I don't know. It was a steampunk easy. I'm a lazy cosplayer. Like, I'll talk about that later when we talk about like how to get into it and stuff. But yeah, for some events, things like TeslaCon, they'll require the vendors dress up. So I kind of didn't have a choice here. I'm into it, but I didn't have a lot of choice.
Well, cool. I kind of like that though. I like how you can combine clothes you already have and make them costume-y,
Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for unusual things that you can use for pretty much anything. Okay, so this one was from KitsuneCon, which is a anime convention in Green Bay. And this was right after I came out with my book In Search for Witch's Soul, which is a 1920s detective noir alternate history. So this was my private investigator.
I love it. It's perfect.
And anime people are so fun. And a lot of writers don't think about going to anime conventions because they just think, oh, well, that's not a reader convention. But honestly, anime people read a lot. They read subtitles, they read manga, like they're big readers as well. So if you can find a good anime convention, near you, it can really work out. I love this convention. It's one of my favorite ones. And yeah, so sometimes I dress up like I'm trying to be a person in the first picture, I was just dealing with the theme of the convention. And this one, I was more trying to attract attention to what my books were, about, or in the era that they were.
Do you find you sell a lot of books at these things, or does it vary event to event?
Yeah, it definitely varies. I would say more books on your table means you're more likely to sell. So, I mean, like some of my earlier events were hard because you have one book. But now that I have like 9 books, it's significantly easier. And I know they always say write series, and I haven't finished a full series yet, so I can't really give that advice, but I find that a lot of readers actually enjoy standalones when I talk to them at these events. So this was the same event, Kitsune, and again, I was dressed as a 1920s, obviously. This one again was more like I'm just trying to, show the era of the story. And as you can see, there's other people as well in this story. I always take pictures with people who buy my books at conventions and put them on my website because then they got something, I got something. I'm proving I'm doing stuff, really.
Yeah.
So this is not actually cosplay, but I included it in the pictures I sent you because I felt like it was an important point to make. So this was a small comic convention. It was a Mighty Con in DuPage, Illinois, and it obviously during the pandemic.
You're right.
And sometimes you're not necessarily trying to say what your book is about. Sometimes you're trying to signal to people who are walking by like what you're into as a person, not like, obviously I did not write a Superman book. I'm wearing like comic stuff, Superman's my favorite superhero. And so it was more of a way of like just letting people know, like, I'm also one of you. Here's the thing I'm into, like, come and talk to me. And I wanted to dress a little funky because it just seemed fun. And so sometimes it's about making conversations. Really, you just want people to stop and talk to you. Oh, this is a fun one. So this is ExpectoCon. This is run by the same people who do TeslaCon. So it was immersive, Harry Potter-esque. Like, it's like a wizarding school, but it's not Harry Potter because copyright. So that's also in Madison, Wisconsin. And this one, so it's all very immersive like the other one. And this actually was a cosplay from one of my books, not just like the era like the other one was, like, reminiscent. This is the school uniform from my first book, Conjuring Zephyr, which you can see in the picture with the blue cover. And I actually created the uniform. She goes to a magic university, and I created the uniform. I bought like a black jacket, and then I sewed all that like white trim on.
Oh, wow.
And then I got my friend with a Cricut, who's amazing, to like make the patch and stuff for the university logo, because I had gotten those done by a graphic designer for like buttons and things. So I got her to take that and make an actual logo off of it. And yeah, so you can do things like that as well. And actually what I'm wearing tonight is not as like obvious, but I'm also wearing an outfit from one of my characters in the book that I'm about to release, the second Intended Fates book. I could stand up. I don't know if you could see me.
Let's try.
Here. Can you see my alien shirt?
Oh, yeah.
So my character, and this is like an exact outfit she wears in the story. My character, Yuthi, she's the female lead. She's not the protagonist, but she's like the love interest. She is obsessed with whether aliens are real or not. And she's always talking about it. And her favorite like show is the X-Files. It's not like conspiracy theory level where it's like distracting from the story, but it's just like a fun little quirk she has where she's like, do you think aliens are real? Like, let's talk about it, so there's a scene where they go to the movies to see an American Werewolf in London, and this is the outfit she's wearing. She's got the beanie on, she's got the like hoodie and like leggings in her Believe shirt. And my friend, the same friend who put the vinyl on my jacket, made this shirt for me.
Nice.
Find a friend with a Cricut. That's the best. That's the best advice I have for you.
Speaking of that, where'd you get this table runner? Is that like
She helped me make that as well.
yeah?
So she always says that she's been cursed by the sewing machine goddess. Like she cannot touch a sewing machine without breaking it. So, but she's crafty on like all other levels, and she can hand sew like nobody's business. So what I did was I sewed the table runner. I just like went to Joann Fabrics and found something that was kind of like steampunkish and stuff. But you know, classy, and not that steampunk isn't always classy. And then, you know, I created the files and, you know, in Photoshop or whatever, and then sent her to her, and she used her Cricut and her heat press and made the table runner for me. Have crafty friends. That's my best advice for cosplay and all things.
Sweet. All right, what do we have here?
Okay, this one's fun. So this one was from TeslaCon that just happened in November. It usually happens in November. So this is the one that just happened in 2021. And this is actually the nice lady who runs the vendor room. And this was like my assassin outfits. It's kind of it's more genre-ish. It's not really one of my characters. But I do have characters who kind of dress like this in a couple of my books. And the Exiled Otherkin, she's got like a, you know, knife that she keeps in her boot. And obviously the Assassin's Legacy, the sequel to that, has assassins in it as well. And I just love my Crisis Wear hood. And of course, Robin Hood wears a hood. So this was just my like standard way of kind of saying like, I have some books that got like kick-ass women who just stab people. I guess I didn't know where that sentence was going. Don't stab people. But yeah, I think it's funny that you said that my hair is curly. This is like the one day I'm wearing it straight for like months. But you can see it. You can see it's usually curly. I try to keep it curly at events because people find it really recognizable.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so this is my local bookstore, Studio Moonfall. They're great. And I was doing an outdoor signing last year. And this is another one of those situations in which I was dressed more as a way to show people who I am. Like kind of funky, like I think I'm wearing a Supernatural shirt from the TV show Supernatural. It's got like, T-Turtle has these like really great nerd tees. If you want to be really lazy but also start conversations with readers, go to T-Turtle. Nice. Because they have all the fandoms and everything, and these like cute little chibi like characters, and like all the nerds use them. So yeah, I just kind of again wore something that portrayed my style and my like personality, but also gave people an in to have something to talk to me. Because I mean, also people sometimes have a hard time when if you're being outgoing and you're like, hey, you random person walking on the street, like, what do you like to read? And they're like, this random stranger is talking to me. It gives them something to also talk about. Like I've had a couple times where somebody who's, you know, not as easygoing with small talk or like being approached is like, nice shirt. You know, it gives them like something to connect with. Yeah. We're all awkward. It's fine.
Yeah, it is fine.
This is also from TeslaCon. My booth mate had taken down her half of the booth, so it was a little more empty. This is actually the guy who ran the tea room last year, and this again was just general steampunk, TeslaCon general steampunk. And this was kind of like my I don't know, is ragamuffin like a politically correct term? Like street urchin like outfit of just, you know, again, like part of being at a convention, and I know not all cosplayers are like this, but I'm lazy, is like you got to be comfortable, especially when you're selling books and you're talking and everything. So I always have to balance out that like looks good, meets the genre, and also is comfortable.
Where do you get some of the elements for your looks, your costumes?
Right. So some of them, like I said, I get them online from like, if I'm doing like nerd tees or something, I'll just get them online. Honestly, I'm pretty much always on the lookout, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. It was so frustrating to me when I reached out to you about being a stylist was because I obviously have a style, but it was like I lost all this weight and I took 10 years to cultivate this like great cosplay and just general closet of really unique clothes that I could pretty much wear at any time. And then I lost all this weight and it was now none of it fits. And I know that some people are going to just roll their eyes like, oh, what a problem. I'm like, 10 years of my life. You don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like thrift stores or even like you walk through JCPenney. I found like, they're called like harem pants. I found those at JCPenney one time, like for $10. It was, you got to be on the lookout for something who is not only unique that could be used as cosplay, but also I like to find things that can be used for multiple cosplays, like you said, mixing and matching. I do that. So I'll find it at thrift stores or at just regular stores when they're doing funky things, like sometimes like 60s peasant tops are in style and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get some of those. But then sometimes I'll do like with the jacket where I'll actually like break out my own craftiness and make it myself. And then sometimes I'll go on Etsy because either my skill is not good enough or the effort it takes isn't worth it for me. I'd rather just pay someone else who's better at it than me to do it. So yeah, it's really just like keeping a lookout. And if you have a genre like, you know, steampunk or something general where, you know, some cosplay, if you're doing like say anime, you're usually picking a character, or like Star Trek or something, you know, you're picking a very specific character or at least a class of characters like Star Trek. And so there's a very specific thing you have to do. But with something like steampunk, you're effectively just, the whole thing is aesthetic, you know? So you're making up your own character, I guess. So you can mix and match and do whatever you want. You know, there was one year I did a steampunk Little Red Riding Hood and my husband was the big bad wolf.
Nice.
And then I was the wolf the next day and he was Little Red Riding Hood. And like, what does the steampunk Little Red Riding Hood look like? And what does it look like if Little Red's a man? And like, so I always ask those questions. And I find that the best thing to do if you're really just on a budget or something like that is the accessories are the thing that kind of makes or breaks a costume, a cosplay. You know, it's the little touches that make a huge difference. It doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, some people go all out and they're impressive, but you don't have to do that.
Are there any do's and don'ts of cosplay, basically?
Yes. I mean, always ask permission before you take somebody's picture. That's they love, honestly, one of the biggest compliments you can give a cosplayer is asking to take a picture of them or with them. Like they're not just, they're I guess not so seek it. Like we're also doing it for attention. Like we're sharing our fandom with everybody else. We're hoping that by wearing our fandom, we'll meet other people who share the fandom, or somebody will admire the hard work we put into our cosplays and they'll bless us by asking us for a picture. But people really get into it, and it's just a way for like nerds and geeks of all kinds to just like connect with each other with their shared fandoms. And some people, like I said, some people have like mechanical things, they go all out, they're really so, but still ask for a picture. Don't just do it. And also there's this great movement that started at some of the bigger cons called Cosplay Is Not Consent. So this idea that, you know, a lot of comic book characters or video game characters or anime characters, especially the female ones, are very scantily clad. And so if somebody's cosplaying as that character, that does not mean that that's not an invitation to touch them or anything like that. So I'm really grateful to the cosplay and like the fandoms of all kinds that like they're going that direction, that they're caring about that. So, I mean, obviously have fun is a do. If you're not having fun, then it's just don't do it. if you're planning on making a cosplay, especially an elaborate one, kind of have a plan. Like I said, some of the easiest stuff is to gather things, but some people spend like all year putting together one costume for one convention. They really go all out, especially if you're getting it pre-made. It can be pretty expensive. So have a plan, or be really good at doing things on the fly. Like my friend who does all the Cricut stuff, she can just make 3 costumes in like a weekend. And so always be on the lookout. You know, if you're into a certain genre, just, you're gonna find stuff in like the weirdest places, a farmer's market or something really weird. Oh yeah, here's a don't. Even if you're cosplaying a character who is a person of color, don't do blackface. Just don't. Like, don't do brownface. Just, it's fine for you to cosplay as that character. At least, I mean, I don't want to speak for all of people of color everywhere, but at least from the conventions that I've been to, you know, especially the anime conventions, almost all anime, like anime is Japanese. So all the characters, unless they specifically tell you they're not Japanese, like they'll have some characters that are like, oh, this guy's from France or this guy's from Russia. They'll make a point of saying if the character's not Japanese. So, you know, it's kind of like it's understanding that if you're cosplaying as any of these characters, they're Japanese. Like, don't try to look Asian if you're not Asian. Like, it's fine for you to cosplay as a character you like. You don't have to go overboard. You know, just be respectful. That's kind of how to live all your entire life.
Yes, yes.
Don't be intimidated by joining the cosplay community, and you can do as little or as much as you want. Like, you can get a nerd tee and just do that if you want to share your fandom, or you can go all out and have like a mech suit. I don't even know how they do those things. We're always ready to talk about our fandom. So if you see something that somebody is wearing, like, don't hesitate to go up and talk to them and just talk about their fandom, gush with them. It will make them so happy. We all want to find people who are like us. I mean, steampunk is one of the easiest cosplays to do because it's partially historical. So you can go as crazy with the fantasy part of it as you want or not. And that's another thing about the cosplay community. Steampunks are everywhere. They will show up everywhere. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a comic convention.
Yeah, you can steampunkify pretty much anything.
That too. Yeah. That too. But like, it won't even matter. Like, you'll be at an anime convention and there'll be steampunks there. And you're just like, but that's not even a steampunk anime. Doesn't matter. I mean, there are steampunk animes, but it doesn't matter. The steampunks will always show up. Like, our steampunk group goes to the park.
I love
like,
that.
Just dresses up and has a picnic in the park. Like, steampunks are weird. I love us.
All right, to kind of close it out, let's bring it back to authors. So we mentioned some genres that lend itself well to cosplay. So how can authors of different genres kind of use cosplay to their advantage?
Right. So you can either, you know, cosplay as a character in your book, which they might not recognize. I mean, how cool would it be if like J.K. Rowling dressed up as a Harry Potter character? I think that'd be fun. She probably won't do it, and other people would probably critique her for it, but like, yeah, it'd be fun. So partially you can dress up as characters, or, you know, like I showed you, you can dress up as, like, my book took place in the 1920s, so you can dress up as like a historical era. You know, if you write, you know, Highland romance, like, don't be afraid to wear a kilt. You know, so you can do things like that kind of tell people what your books are about. Or you can, you know, say you just write contemporary romance or just something else like that, where it's not really, doesn't have a look really that's going to signal anybody anything. Then you can wear book related things, like you know, Jane Austen t-shirt, or like, you know, I'm saying, like, book nerds are a whole other set of nerds, but we're still there. Like, there's tons of nerdy book things that you can put on t-shirts and things like that. Or you can just put your own personality out there. That's, some of the reasons why I included those pictures of just like other fandoms that you're a fan of. Like Supernatural really doesn't have anything to do with my books. Or if I'm wearing like there's an anime fairy tale, has nothing to do with my books. But I have a fairy tale t-shirt that I can wear to an anime convention where people will stop and talk to me about it because they want to meet people who have similar interests in them. And really, if you're trying to sell books, your best bet is to get them to stop and talk to you. They're going to feel better about buying a book from an author they don't know if you stop and talk to them for a while. Because if you're at a convention and you're not like a big deal and they don't know you by showing up, you're an unknown entity to them. So you got to make yourself human. You got to connect with them. And even if that's a shared fandom, that helps you. I mean, I've had people stop and ask to take my picture at a convention, even when they didn't even stop and talk to me about books. Like, and it was not even it wasn't even a cosplay that was something noticeable. Like I was wearing the one with the gray hat and the private investigator type one. Like somebody wanted to take my picture. I'm like, I'm literally just wearing like like 1940s newspaper man outfit. Like, I'm just like, I'm not even really cosplaying. These are my dress pants from work. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would definitely say that, or do what you would help people do, which is present them. This would be less cosplay, is just present yourself in a way you want to be taken. Like, if you want to be taken as like the professional romance author and you want that like blazer look, then that's fine. Like cosplay as an author.
Yes. I mean? There you go.
But really, I just want people to stop and talk to me. So I'll wear crazy stuff. I don't care.
Well, thank you so much. This is a lot of great information.
Well, I hope it helps everybody.
It does. This is probably going to be my longest episode because I don't want to cut anything. So
yeah, it was helpful.
Yeah, you were. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Bedecked. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Dee Lieber about cosplay. I thought it was really fun. I'm ready to go out and buy some costumes for just everything. Thank you so much to Dee for all your insight on cosplay. That was really fun. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Bedecked, and be sure to tune in next week to see what book or topic I deck out next. Bye!